Hi, I'm Rachel Sumner, an award-winning songwriter, bandleader, and the writer of Radium Girls Curie Liaison, here with songwriting tip number 2. Shift perspective. Many of the strongest story songs are written with a shift in the point of view. They often begin in the third person with distance and observation, and then move into the first person near the very end. That turn pulls the listener fully inside the song. You can hear this, for example, in Simple Twist of Fate by Bob Dylan. The song starts out as a scene that you're watching from the outside. In verse 1, they sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him, and he felt a spark tingle to his bones. 'Twas then he felt alone. By the end, the voice steps forward and claims the emotional truth of the story. In verse 6, we hear, people tell me it's a sin to know and feel too much within. I still believe she was my twin, but I lost the ring. That shift is part of what makes it land so well, and it makes you reframe everything that you just heard and want to go back and listen through again with that newfound knowledge. A bit of a more unsettling example is John Wayne Gacy Jr. by Sufjan Stevens. The song begins as a portrait of someone else and ends with a first-person confession. The narrator inserts himself, and it makes the story somewhat relatable. Not to me personally, but to one, I guess. The beginning goes, the neighbors, they adored him for his humor and his conversation. Look underneath the house there, find the few living things rotting fast in their sleep, oh, the dead. And then by the end, the outro is, and in my best behavior, I am really just like him. Look beneath the floorboards for the secrets I have hid. After spending time analyzing songs like these, I began to realize how potent this tool actually is, especially for narrative writing. Once you see this movie, you start hearing it in all sorts of places. It's often working on a subconscious level, which is why it took me a long time to articulate what was happening. I could feel when a song landed, but I didn't always know why. And now it's something I actively pay attention to. Whose perspective we're in at any given moment, how long we stay there, and what happens when and if that perspective shifts. Even subtle changes can completely alter how a listener experiences a song. When I started writing Radium Girls, I knew that I wanted to use that same technique. The song is written largely in the third person because it tells a historical story, and I wanted to put some distance. I didn't want to assume the thoughts of one of the women. But at the very end, I did insert myself as the narrator directly into the song. That shift happens after an instrumental rest, which is also doing very important work. It gives a listener a moment to reset and think about the story before giving them a perspective change. That kind of palate cleansing can make the final turn feel even more direct. The lyric goes at the end, after the instrumental. I wish that I could tell you that somebody'd found a cure, or that when the court case first came round, the crime was answered for. You may claim women have been long since elevated in this world, but how can that be? Our ashes still speak louder than our words. The takeaway here is simple. Pay attention to whose eyes we're looking through and notice how some of the best narrative songs invite the listener in closer at the very end. That perspective shift can change everything. What kind of songwriting tips do you want to know more about? Tell me in the comments and subscribe.